Hello everyone. This series of videos will be dedicated to Microsoft 365 ownerless groups and how to deal with them, including Microsoft ownerless groups policy. I'm gonna share my personal experience with you. So although Microsoft does have some good articles on ownerless groups and there are some questions and answers, but actually, there are much more than that. Maybe 10 or 20% of what I'm going to share with you is based on what is published currently, and maybe 80% is based on my personal experience and tests and research you cannot find anywhere else. So why? Why do we have ownerless groups? If a person is a single group owner and a person tries to remove himself from group owners, it is not allowed. Even administrator cannot remove a person from group owners if it's the only one owner. But if last group owner ID is deleted from Azure Active Directory, the group becomes ownerless. So we do have ownerless groups. Now, why do we care about ownerless groups? Many reasons. First of all, of course, operational standpoint, we need group owners for daily activities like add or remove group members, modify group settings. Surely we need group owners for communication because any communication goes to group owners. And of course, we need group owners from governance standpoint because we need somebody responsible for group content, for permissions to these resources. And ownerless resources policy basically is a keystone among other governance policies. Because if you do not have resource owner, other policies might just not work against this resource. Some words about scope. Ownerless resources policy is a document, firstly, but we are not talking here legal stuff or documentation. We are focusing on technological side of this problem, so only technology. Now, as resources, we understand mostly SharePoint sites. You know, we can have standalone SharePoint sites and group-based SharePoint sites. To deal with ownerless standalone SharePoint sites, you can use third-party tools, you can have custom approach, or you can use so-called SharePoint Advanced Management functionality, which comes with Microsoft syntax, but this requires separate licenses, so it's additional cost. I will be delivering probably separate video on how to deal with ownerless standalone sites. But this time we will be focusing on group-based SharePoint sites, which are basically teams, Yammer communities, and just SharePoint sites based on groups. And we will be talking mostly about Microsoft 365 ownerless group policy, which is built in and comes with any Microsoft 365 tenant. Then we will be talking about groups policy. So we will be using word groups mostly, but surely we assume SharePoint group-based sites and teams and Yammer communities under groups. So we will be talking groups, assuming all group-based resources. Here is the content. After this intro, I'm going to go through policy configuration. Again, though it's documented very well and configuration is GUI-based and straightforward, there are some interesting moments. Next, I'll share with you my findings on email template customization because, let me show you, this is the out-of-the-box email So Microsoft does not provide any markup. It's just a plain text. With some tricks, you can have bold text or headers and bullets and links. So I believe it would be interesting for you. Next, I'll go through user experience, all the possible workflows, like this user accept ownership, this user decline ownership, both declines, both accepts, users just ignore, user forwarding, email notification, and so on. Next topic would be scoping the policy down and piloting. Well, the idea is we don't want this policy to implement against entire tenant at once. We would try implement this policy against just a small number of groups. So this video would address this problem. Next is important for those who did not implement this policy from day one of having tenant, because after a few years, you would probably have a lot of ownerless groups, but the policy actually was designed to be implemented from day one and is not designed for cleanup. So using the policy for cleanup and some extra efforts of cleanup, I'll be covering in this video. After we completed cleanup activities, we might want to configure policy for permanent use, just to activate this and let policy just work against new ownerless groups that are coming weekly or daily basis. Even after cleanup, and even if we have ownerless groups policy activated, users might just ignore everything and you will still have ownerless groups. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you my suggestions, tips, tricks on what can we do with groups that are still ownerless. It is very important because actually when you implement the policy, you have no means to track the policy. There is nowhere you can go to get reports or see policy activities. The only way you can see this policy inactive is Microsoft 365 audit logs. So here I'm going to share with you my technique on getting related to ownerless groups policy events from audit log. And then I'll probably make another video to cover any corrections or mistakes that this happens. Right? See you in the next video. Thank you.